All right, I got 6 o'clock. I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next thing on the agenda is approval of minutes, starting with April 5th, 2022, special session. Are there any amendments? Hearing none, if there are no objections, those are approved. Next to the meeting minutes for April 7th, 2022, are there any amendments? Hearing none, if there's no objection, those are approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of requisitions for April 21st, 2022, in the amount of $32,652.58. If there's no objection, that is approved. Next is accounts payable for April 14th, 2022, in the amount of $422,808.47. If there's no objection, that is approved. Next is accounts payable for April 21st, 2022, in the amount of $41,774.69. There's no objection, that is approved. Next is manual checks for April 15th, 2022, in the amount of $44,615.98. There's no objection, that is approved. Next is manual checks for April 22nd, 2022, in the amount of $154,589.70. There's no objection, that is approved. Next is the approval of payroll for April 14th, 2022, in the amount of $262,363.07. There's no objections, that is approved. Is there any announcements or changes to the agenda? All right, hearing none. Next is public comment. So if you're online, please go ahead and raise your hand. Remember, you have 3 minutes to make public comment. And I can start into the room if someone wants to raise their hand. So Mr. Tabb, you can go first.
David Tabb, Jefferson County resident taxpayer. I was here on the 12th for the lay of the levy. County Commission meeting room wasn't open. So I went over to the County Commission office. Showed up there too. Still didn't get to see it. Just still didn't get to participate before you actually see it. Laying of the levy is really important. This is the foundation for our whole taxation of your assessment. Government's supposed to be open, according to the government. Next item. My oldest brother, unfortunately, has had a catastrophic event. He's done. But they called the ambulance. So I hope Commissioner Tabb pays the rate that she suggested on
Mr. Tabb, you should be ashamed of yourself for what you're doing right now. And I would ask you to refrain from disparaging commissioners.
Next item. Impact fees. You have $9,300,000 as a total. Parks and Rec's got most, well, the school's got 8 million, Parks and Rec's got 783. Why can't the fire companies get some? What y'all have done to the fire companies is an atrocity. You have no respect for what has gone on for years. I've donated time, and not near as much as what a lot of other people have. Shame on you. And apparently, the Hartman money is still available because Patricia Rucker within the packet is asking for money for Harper's Ferry and Bolivar, which I'm sure they need. So that means everybody else should be able to ask for it too. And it's not being used for what it's intended use was for. You have on item 2, County Commission approved space 3 years ago for the offices for another courtroom. That was before some of you, but not all of you. So what's going on with that? You have item, I think it was 5. community ministries. So they're volunteering this. So you came up with $35,000 for fit study, and $15,000 for swimming pool feasibility study. But you can't come up with any money for people that are homeless, need help, or being ready to be homeless. But you allow all the volunteers to take care of it, just like you've done with the fire companies. Y'all have a nice day. And you guys are the ones who are disrespectful.
Is there anyone else in the room that'd like to make public comment?
Good evening. Name's Ross Morgan, Fire Chief, Jefferson County Fire Department. First off, I'd like to thank the commission for allowing two of our representatives of the Fire Rescue Association to present our proposed plan that we have put together from the Volunteer Association. On the flip side of that, though, I was very disappointed to see the email last night that it's going to be an executive session. That is, in my opinion, not right. The Fitch report was not presented in executive session, or Director Berner's report that was requested by this board was not presented in executive session. So there's no reason why this plan should have to be in executive session. It should be in open public forum, just like we are right now. So I'm hoping that you all will rethink that when the time comes there on the meetings, let them do it in open public forum. It's time to let the public know and be transparent with the public. That's who this is all about. It's the public. It's not about you all. It's not about the Fire Rescue Association. It's not about the ESA. It's about the community that we serve and all the visitors that come through this county. So please reconsider the executive session portion when time is a slaughter for itself in this evening. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the room that would like to make public comment? All right, Jess, is anybody online? Raise their hand. No, thank you. With that, I'll go ahead and close public comment. Item number 1 is Matt Harvey.
Good evening.
Evening.
So I am here to seek the approval of a hire of Courtney Neal. This position is a part-time victims advocate position that was funded through the VOCA grant. If you remember, that funding was cut last year, and the federal portion that was given to the state was cut. This legislature backfilled that $4 million that was cut. And so that money was pushed back out to the agencies to spend. So what I have now is the ability to hire someone and part-time at $18.50 an hour. Again, it's grant funded. And the expectation is that if they cut it last year, it's probably going to, was backfilled by our legislature. I don't know how sustainable that is for the future. So Courtney understands that this is probably just until a temporary time until October. So that's some of the difficulty of trying to find someone that, hey, I got a job, but it's only going to be till, I can only guarantee it till October. But she stepped up and she's willing to help our office out. And she's a Shepherd grad. She lives here in Charlestown. She moved to Arizona for employment. She came back to spend time with her family, and so was able to connect with her and offer her a position.
What's the start date?
Monday, is it the,
This coming Monday,
yes.
25th.
25th? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 4/20.
At
Okay.
$18.50 an hour.
Okay. I'll move to hire Courtney Neal through a grant provided by the VOCA fund for $18.50 an hour. Her start date will be April 25th, 2022.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yep. Really earlier magistrates here.
We're all
Yeah.
here.
There's 3 names. Gotcha.
I am Magistrate D'Angelo, Magistrate Cesare, and Magistrate Rover. Well, I appreciate it. Several years ago, I know that it wasn't before the commission that's here now, the commission approved the renovation in the second floor for a third courtroom for the magistrate court. Mr. Polk was supposed to be working out what that would cost. I don't know what happened with that. We don't know what happened with the blueprints. However, we're here because it kind of kept getting pushed back. We were given different reasons over the years why it hasn't been done, but we're here to ask that it be completed and the funding be put into the budget to do that. Mr. Stolper came over and toured the building, and I showed him the space. The blueprints that were done took out part of a main area, okay? I don't think that's necessary. We didn't really measure the room or anything, but there's 3 interior walls that would need to be removed, that Dean would have no problem doing, I think, because he's very handy. The biggest cost would come from building of the bench for the magistrate and the witness and the assistant. That would be the biggest cost. But I don't know what that cost is because I don't know where that material comes from, but it should be somewhere when they did the third floor and renovated it. It's the same material that's used in both of the other courtrooms also. So there's information somewhere in your files probably, but I don't know. I can't tell you where that is. Everything seems to have gotten lost somewhere, but anyway, so that's why we're here.
As Magistrate D'Angelo mentioned, I did go by to see the space. I'm a visual person, wanted to see, kind of get an idea of what they were talking about before we came here tonight. It doesn't seem to me like you said, the biggest cost of this looks like it's just going to be build the bench and matching the wood with the rest of the courthouse. It doesn't look to be any type of exotic wood, so.
No, and I don't really think it would be a problem only because it was 2019 when the second floor was done, and it was 2018 to 19 when the third floor was completed, and it's the same.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's anything that's way out there.
You got something to say, Michelle?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that the last courtroom renovation that we did was about $550,000.
That was the third floor.
It was the third floor,
Yeah.
so it's not as big of a space, but I
Oh.
would estimate it's probably 75 to 150,000
No,
for that type of renovation, to match that kind of work
Well, the
in that space.
the space we're talking about is probably from here to the stage.
Yes, I've been in there.
Okay.
I'm just thinking of the quality of woods and benches and things like that that's in the third floor space. You know, and today's prices that have been increased because of COVID and the freight and everything
And you make a
else.
strong point, I mean, you want to have a quality courtroom to represent the county. But the other thing that we have to bear in mind is that the legislature passed a law with regards to the magistrates, number of magistrates in each county. They're taking away magistrates from some counties in the southern part of the state, but they're adding magistrates to counties who are growing. And they're going to be doing a study looking at caseloads and census, but they might be taking other factors into consideration. And we know that Jefferson County, you guys are dealing with it right now, and thank you for ushering us through this period of growth. Jefferson County is growing, and we could end up with a 4th magistrate, and how we're going to juggle 4 dockets and 2 courtrooms would be very difficult. So it would be nice to be prepared. We know it's probably more than likely coming, and, you know, that's why we're here. We want to be prepared for this.
Yeah, I think the first thing we need to do is figure out how much it's going to cost. So we could probably task John with getting quotes on that and working with our maintenance folks.
I think what I'd like to do, if I could suggest, is that we'll get Dean and Laura there to re-sit down with you folks. Because that may have changed over the years. I haven't seen the last iteration.
Well, hopefully Laura will have found it. She was gonna look also. But I don't think we need to go with those blueprints, because that was taking the whole bailiff area,
That's so.
and we don't need to do
We
that.
maybe on scale down, change it or wherever. I don't know what.
Go with the existing area
Mhm.
and just take out the interior walls.
So what I'll do is I'll go back. Well, let's just take a new fresh look at that. We'll look at the old plans. And we'll come back to the commissioners with an estimate, because material costs, of course, are up.
They are.
And supply chain issues are prevalent. So we'll come back and we'll bring to you as a revised set of drawings and an estimate of the costs associated with the building.
Yeah,
I mean, do we, because it was already been authorized, it just kind of fell through the cracks. I don't know if we need to motion it again.
I don't have a problem doing that. Yeah.
Legal, does that make sense to you? I mean,
It does, but it doesn't hurt to authorize it.
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. We just
So
said
it
it.
is back on the record again. So, I mean,
It just saves questions.
no, I'll go ahead and move to Director Nissel to come up with a cost estimate for the second floor renovation that Master Serve requested. And then after we get that, we'll come back, we'll reconvene. How about that?
Okay,
Yes.
and you let us know, we're available whenever you are.
Yeah, we'll set up a time to probably meet with all three of you,
Right.
because everybody has, different requests and needs. We want to make sure we capture everything.
Yes.
That was a motion. Wait, nobody seconded it.
Yes, it was a I'll go ahead and second it. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
appreciate it.
Next I have is Regina Phillips. She online? We all, okay. Did y'all want to go ahead and move to Keith? Since he's-
Yes.
Yeah. You can-
Thank you very much for allowing me to come here and speak today. What I'm asking for is the county commission's support in letters of recommendation that we're going to be sending to Senator Capito and Senator Manchin's office regarding assisting us with a new piece of property that's been given to us and building on. I believe I sent out a draft memo for you. But in summary, what's happened is the city of Branson has graciously offered to donate a piece of property to us that has two existing structures on it. They have recently completed a study, an engineering study that says that the properties are good to go as horse farms. But as soon as the property transfer takes place, I've got to hire an engineering and architectural firm to do a feasibility study to see if they will in fact allow the structure that we're envisioning putting onto it. And so we've requested support from Senator Manchin and Senator Capito's office for $1.2 million to help us with those funds to be allocated in their next fiscal year's appropriation through earmarks. I'm ready to answer any questions you might have, but that's my request, is that I have a letter of support from the county commission.
I'll move that we authorize our chairman to sign a letter of support for the new community center and the ask is for the congressional directed grant funding.
I'll second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're really good. Where does that want to go?
We can go to 7 if you want.
That's what I was thinking. I wasn't sure Mr. Eastup was the room.
don't see him.
All right, so Michelle, if you want to come up and go.
He's online, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Okay, let's go to agenda item number 6 then. Mr. Eastep, Cole County Tourist, Country Tourist.
Yes, thank you for having me this evening. I'm here tonight for 3 reasons. Wanted to first inform the commission about some events that we have scheduled commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Charlestown Treason Trials, the 1922 Treason Trials involving certain Mayan leaders following the Battle of Blair Mountain. I think Danny Lutz may have spoken to you earlier in the year about some of this. I kind of came in partnership with him. And in doing this, we've gotten some new partners, the Appalachian Studies Program at Shepherd University, the Lifelong Learning Program at Shepherd University, and the West Virginia Mine Wars Museum have all become partners in these events. Our first event is actually tomorrow evening. We're going to show the film Matewan at Reynolds Hall at Shepherd. And then next Saturday, we're going to have a panel discussion on the treason trials at the Byrd Center, also at Shepherd. At the discussion panel, we'll have Professor Charles Keeney. His great-grandfather was actually one of the defendants in the treason trials in Charlestown back in 1922. West Virginia author Denise Giardino will also be participating, as will local circuit judge Dave Hammer and myself. On May 6th, we're going to show the documentary The Mine Wars, again at Reynolds Hall. And then on May 13th, we're going to have a concert in the old Opera House to commemorate, again, the trials and the labor leaders of that period. Mary Hott and the Carpenter Ants. Mary Hott is from Berkeley Springs. I think she was on Mountain Stage last year. She's going to be performing, as well as Tom Briding of Pittsburgh, who's worked a lot with UMW. He's a labor musician from the Pittsburgh area. And then in the fall, we're going to put on Danny Lutz's play To the Footlights of the World stage about the treason trials. The second thing I wanted to do, in addition to informing you, and I do apologize for the late notice, because this has kind of fallen together in the last several weeks. But we also want to request access to the upstairs courtroom in the courthouse on May 13th from shortly after close of business, maybe 5:15 to 7 o'clock, preceding our concert over at the old Opera House. What we'd like to do is we'd like to have access to the upstairs courtroom so that we can do a few tours for the public and show them where the treason trials took place. Now, I did speak to Laura Storm over at the circuit clerk's office, and she ran it by Judge Hammer, and he approved it, but he said that we should really talk to the commission to see about getting making sure that there's security on staff for the couple of hours there. So I wanted to request help with that, make sure that we could get access and have someone there so that, it's safe for the public. And the final thing that wanted to ask of the commission this evening is wanted to request $1,000 in funding towards our costs. We estimate we're going to need about $4,000 for our panelists to travel in, some of the musicians. We need AV technicians, advertising, and printing. We're about halfway to our goal right now and expect a little bit more. So far as sponsors, we have the Jefferson County Convention Visitors Bureau is acting as a sponsor. The Appalachian Studies Program at Shepherd. Coal Country Tours is acting as a sponsor. The Mine Wars Museum is a sponsor, and we expect the United Mine Workers to also contribute. So again, I just wanted to inform you of some of the events that were coming up. Make sure that we could get access to the courtroom for a couple hours after hours, and also make a request for the county to contribute toward the cost of putting on these events. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from commissioners?
Yeah, what was the time on May 13th that you needed, the courthouse?
5:15 to 7 o'clock. I know we can't do anything till after hours, and that would give a few minutes to, after the close of business. And so, 5:15, 5:30 to 7:30, about an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, how do have we done that in the past? Do you remember? It's like, I know we have to have a bailiff there.
We usually tell the sheriff.
And, yeah, okay.
Have we confirmed with the sheriff that there's a bailiff available? I know he brought it up at some point that there was a request, but I don't know if he confirmed that it was, he agreed with it.
The sheriff was asking for funding, if I remember correct.
Okay. For the overtime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, yeah, I think your request of having the courthouse open for 2 hours in one evening is certainly fine. And you already kind of checked the box to go talk to Judge Hammer to make sure it's okay. As long as we can have security there, I don't have a problem with it. It's your, like I said, your request is minimal. I'll move a motion pending on us being able to have security there to allow you to tour the courthouse on May 13th from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock.
I'll second that. Is there any more discussion? I just want to clarify, this is excluding the $1,000, correct?
Yes, I didn't make much for that. I was going to talk about that in a second.
I was just clarifying that
Yes.
this was just that. All right. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Oh,
Aye.
sorry. No.
I guess
there's-
I just have one question. I seem to recall discussions about this as well, and I think the sheriff would want funding for that bailiff to be there. So can we include in that motion that we would provide him with additional funding for that bailiff to be there for those 2 hours?
Yes, I'll amend my motion to allow funding for the bailiff to be there for an additional 2 hours, whether it's overtime or whatever it's needed.
All right. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, as far as the request for the $1,000, I think this, what you're doing here sort of falls under tourism. I would probably recommend talking to Annette Gavin at the Visitors Bureau and see if there's any, I don't know if she has any type of funds for stuff like this or not, but it's worth the ask. I think that's where I would probably recommend starting at, to ask for like a sponsor for this type of event.
Yes, actually, they've joined in. They're sponsoring at the $500 level.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, okay, that's great. Man.
All right. Is there anything else from the commissioners? All right. Thank you, Mr. Eastep.
All right, thank you.
Now, did you want to go to number 7?
Sure.
Yeah. One up the shelf.
Good evening. We have the health insurance renewal packet for employee medical insurance renewal contracts for fiscal year 23 for county employees. The Highmark medical and prescription plan includes one option for review. During the county's budget process, insurance representatives advised us that the monthly insurance premiums would increase by about 5 to 8% for fiscal year 23. So we did include $115,000 in the budget for that portion of the increase. The employee portion of the insurance premiums for the last increase for employees, the last increase they received was in fiscal year 21, which was effective July the 1st of 2020. In April of 2020, an analysis of the insurance premiums paid by employee versus employer was prepared. As part of that analysis, a review of annual salary makeup of county employees enrolled in the plan was performed. Additionally, the employee versus employer portion of insurance premiums was compared to the percentages paid by other governmental insurance plans for surrounding jurisdictions and including the state of West Virginia. That analysis determined that the portion of the premium paid by the county was higher than that of other jurisdictions and that the imbalance would need to be corrected. To lessen the impact on employees and work toward correcting the imbalance, a plan to phase in that adjustment of the employee versus employer portion of the insurance premiums was implemented in fiscal year 21. During the fiscal year 22 budget process, the commission did not approve cost of living adjustments or merit increases for county employees. As a result of that budgetary decision, the commission also determined that phasing in of the premium adjustments would be placed on hold for 1 year only. So fiscal year 22, we did not increase the employee portion. The new phase-in plan with the estimated annual premium increases would be as follows, and the table is included in your packet. So for fiscal year 23, the employee portion would increase from $74 per month to $96 per month for employee-only coverage. And for employee plus one, it would increase from $334 a month to $362. And then for the family coverage, it would increase from $458 a month to $488 per month. Option one from Highmark provided the county with a rate hold for fiscal year 23. Medical insurance renewal premium for a plan that implements no changes to the current level of services provided to employees has increased by 0%. And this is a reduction from the initial renewal that we had originally received of 3.03%. As a result, no increased cost is estimated for renewal option one, and the county will realize savings of $115,000. The total annual employer expense included in fiscal year 23 is about $2.3 million. And based on the premium increase phase-in plan, the employee portion of the insurance premiums will increase by an average of $26 monthly. The county will realize additional savings of approximately $51,000 by continuing with that phase-in. Total savings is estimated to be $166,000. Action will be needed to approve the fiscal year 23 contract. I've included a table here to show you what the history is for fiscal year 21, 22, and 23. Any discussions about the Highmark renewal? Okay. Delta Dental has provided a one-year rate hold for fiscal year 23. The total annual employer expense for fiscal year 23 is estimated to be $46,000. It is included in the approved budget. Based on the premium increase phase-in plan, the county will realize savings of about $1,100. Action will be needed to approve the fiscal year 23 contract, and I've also included in your packet the table of employee versus employer portion of the premiums that will be paid. So the employee portions will increase by about 50 cents each. Hartford Group Life Insurance. Hartford is currently under a 2-year contract with a rate guarantee through the end of fiscal year 23. So no action is needed on Hartford Group Life. The total annual employer expense for fiscal year 23 is estimated to be $31,000, and it is already included in the fiscal year 23 budget. NVA is our vision provider, and that plan is currently under a 4-year contract with a 4-year rate guarantee through the end of fiscal year 23. So that means that they provided us with the same rate for 8 years. Total annual employer expense for fiscal year 23 is estimated to be $13,000, and it is included in the approved budget. Based on the premium increase phase-in plan, the county will realize savings of about $329. No action is needed other than to approve the new employee versus employer premium rates. Additionally, in your packet, there is a complete table of health, dental, and vision employee versus employer rates for fiscal years 21, 22, and 23. I've also included the summary plan information as well as the contract information we received for the 2 plans that do need action taken on them today. Any questions?
I'll go ahead and move the motion to accept the Highmark of West Virginia Health Insurance renewal for 2023.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'll move the motion to accept the Delta Dental Insurance renewal for 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And last, I move the motion to accept the 2023 employee and employer insurance premium rates for health, dental, and vision as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I believe we have Ms. Phillips.
Those are the ask.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
She's on the phone now, so she won't.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening.
Yep.
So you can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm here this evening on behalf of the White Horse Tavern, which is located in William Wilson Freeway in Harpers Ferry for an expansion of our outdoor seating application with the West Virginia ABC. And we're asking that it be in the same location as the previous owner. The new owners are requesting that we be allowed to have the expanded seating area too. I believe you've been provided a packet with a map of the seating area as well as the number of seats that we'll hope to put in that location. And we need your permission to move forward with the ABC to do this.
Scott, you sent me an email about zoning, didn't you, about this?
Yes, there's a little bit of confusion. I think that this is, I think this might be a zoning issue, but I think if you just renew this, or if you just accept this, we'll just renew this. It's weird because if this is sort of a one-time opportunity for them versus something which would be more long-standing. So I think this would be okay as presented.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna get more of these coming in the pipes. I'm just, we're looking at them a little more closely. It's kind of new for me, so I think what she's asking for is.
Okay, thank you.
If I recall correctly, in the past, I know we did in.
If I remember the one,
In Jefferson, we did, I think we sent them, the ABC commission a letter. didn't we?
I remember a letter, yeah.
I think with summer coming, they definitely want to get a move on this.
Yeah.
The permit or license will allow us to have events during this season and use of the outside area for people to come and be seated. It will be bounded based on ABC law and code, where they'll be within a contained area that we have provided the map and showing you. It just allows for that outdoor seating area and to expand the opportunity for guests to partake in our tavern and restaurant. And it was previously granted to Matt Knott, the same seating arrangement, just under new ownership, making the same request. I think the difference is Mr. Knott had a private resort license. The new owners have a private restaurant catering license, and it just requires us to go through the formality of getting your permission to do this.
I understand. Yeah, yes, I agree with you, Virginia. Thank you for presenting this to us. This is Steve, by the way. I go ahead and move the motion to approve the direct the release of the required letter to the WVABCA stating that the White Horse Tavern is located in an approved zone for the sale of alcohol and supports the attached floor plan extension to allow the sale and consumption of alcohol and designated outdoor dining and seating area.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
So what is the commission's pleasure? We have 7 minutes till interviews.
Take a full break. It is nothing else.
I don't think we can do anything else.
Yeah. Lay down.
All right, so you just want to recess till 6:45? All right, I'll go ahead and say we're in recess till 6:45. So go ahead and call us back to order. Next thing on the agenda I have is item number 4, interviews and appointments, starting with Jefferson County Development Authority. And the first resume I have is Judy Ward.
I'm interviewed.
Yeah, we
That's correct. That's correct.
I believe there's been one new applicant. Tara.
Yeah, Tara.
Okay, gotcha. That was looking good right there. All right, so Tara Orndorff. She online?
I think she's online.
She went on. Okay, Tara, you're unmuted.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So,
Hey, Tara, this is Steve Stolper. I'll ask all of our applicants the same question, and that is, why do you want to be on the Jefferson County Development Authority?
well, I've really liked the way that the Jefferson County Development Authority, the direction it's been going in. I feel with my, being a steward in the community, with my involvement with the Ranson CVB, the Jefferson County Chamber, being on those boards as well as a Rotary board, that I can add value. It would be I feel being a liaison between the two boards, especially with tourism being involved, being that I'm a manager at the 2 Hilton branded hotels here in Jefferson County. I think that's, a key sector for this community, being tourism, and being on the board with the CVB and the Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Development Authority. If I were given that opportunity, I think I can, be of value on the board. I like the direction the board's been going in with the small businesses and entrepreneurship. And being a small business owner myself in the past, I used to own Skippers downtown in Charlestown with Kathy Skinner. And, I feel I can really add value and play a good role with the Development Authority and helping with development of policy and program development in the county.
Thank you.
I guess this is Claire. One question I would have, so you mentioned small businesses. What would be the kind of business that you feel Jefferson County needs or that you'd like to see come here?
Personally, a mix. It's not all small business. I think, with some of the latest businesses that we've had with the industry, it's I think there's every business has its value and its part, and I'm a firm believer in a mix of all businesses, not just small.
Is there any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
I'd like to go ahead. Terry, you work for Uniwest Marketing now, so technically, if I'm correct, we have 2 open seats. One's a citizens rep and a business rep. You would certainly qualify for the business rep on this board, I believe. So, okay, just want to make sure. I thought you would. I'd like to go ahead with the motion to appoint Tara Orndorff as the business representative to the Jefferson County Development Authority. The term is ending in April 5th, 2025.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And I would also like to, we interviewed a couple folks last meeting, and I did get some my questions answered with Nathan, so I feel comfortable now to go ahead and make this motion to appoint Andy. How do you say Andy's last name? Calandria? No, I'll butcher that. Andy Calandria to a 2-year term for the citizens representative ending on April 5th, 2024.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Anybody for the library?
I think there is. Dominic DeGenero. Okay.
I don't believe he's going to be here this evening, not here at work.
Okay.
So,
And he's requesting reappointment, correct? Is that right? Or-
no, there was
Oh,
a
gotcha.
resignation.
So do you guys want to table it until he can be interviewed, or?
I'm going ahead and paying him.
Fine.
So I'll move that we appoint Dominic DeGenero to one unexpired term ending June 30th, 2023 to the South Jefferson Public Library Board.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Uh,
Opposed? Motion carries. So where did you guys want to go next?
Yeah, I told Adam 7 o'clock, so he's running a little bit late, it appears. 7 minutes?
Yeah.
9 minutes. Yeah, we're running ahead, so. Would you want to go ahead and, whatever you want to do.
But I'm asking what everyone wants to do.
Nathan, is there anything you can talk about in open session?
Yeah, give me just one second.
Okay. There you go. He'll be able to fill in.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's not really specifically my item, but I just noticed that it's there.
Yeah, yeah, I can take that one. I'm the liaison on that board. Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, under number 9, as y'all know, we did have a consultant that was working on our zoning ordinance a couple years ago. We did get out of contract with them. We did pull back in our second consultant, and we talked to them, the committee talked to those, to the consultant and the planning commission, and as long as the committee has, would like to hire this consultant to finish up the plans. Some of our plans are antiquated and they need to be updated. There are several things that they plan to do. This is Mr. Nissel just handed out the contract for the consultant, and we did put this in, or excuse me, the director of planning and zoning did put this in the budget for next year, so we do have money in the budget for this. So I don't know if y'all have any questions for me. If you do, if you don't, I'll go ahead and be happy to move a motion to accept this contract. But if you have any questions, I'll answer your questions first.
And so you're saying this is budget neutral?
It is in the budget.
Okay.
So it's in there from Roger Goodwin, put it in the budget for next year. And so it is in the budget. It is a budget item that we took care of in February. All right. If y'all don't have anything, any further questions, I'll go ahead and move a motion to accept, to hire the consultant, PJ Rocco Consulting, to update the subdivision regulation and zoning ordinance.
Second, it's been moved and seconded. I did just want to add for the public, all this was supposed to already be done, correct? Is the previous company failed their task?
That's exactly right.
That's why we don't really have any questions. We kind of already know what's supposed to happen. It just didn't happen last time.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happened.
All right, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You guys want to take another recess till 7?
Sure.
All right. So we're going to be in recess till 7.
Nice.
I know. I'm like, one of these guys, like, getting all the one days. Nutritional advice and store, magnified glasses.
Get a micro piece reader.
Right. Get a micro critique.
Is everybody ready? Okay. So I can go ahead and call us back to order then. Would either Steve or Claire like to lead us off on number 10? Or?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I didn't know, thank you. I have Marshall and Adam are here tonight. I didn't know what, if you wanted to present obviously the slideshow, certainly. I did mention earlier that we were potentially going to executive session, we're going to talk contracts. But if we're not going to talk contracts, we're just going to look at the report. That we don't need to go to executive session for that, I don't believe. But if we're going to talk any details, MOUs or anything like that, then we would. So if you want to present the report and we have to go to executive session later, we can certainly do that.
That works for us.
Yeah. So as you know, we've been meeting with the committee, the fire committee, and we met last week. I think it was last Thursday, and they presented this plan to us. It's a couple different options, and they wanted to share it here with you tonight. Again, I'll have you guys come on up if y'all want to take the floor and present your. I think it's up on screen. So.
Good evening. I'm Marshall. I think everybody knows me. The ugly one's Adam. Everybody knows him too.
He said the exact opposite last time.
All right. So first of all, appreciate the opportunity to present this. Obviously, everybody knows this has been a back and forth, and so it's awesome to come together a little bit on presenting workable solutions for the county. The Fire and Rescue Association certainly took a community-centric approach to this. We wanted to make sure that the county in the entirety was adequately covered. And so you'll see a lot of that throughout this. Maybe. Is there somewhere I have to point?
Jessica,
broke it.
Is it on?
I don't know.
Jessica, can you go ahead and forward it?
Oh, now I got a green light.
It might work.
May have to point it at the.
Okay, I can just give you cues. That's
No,
okay.
it should work if you saw the.
Yeah, I saw a green light. It's not moving around. Okay, so first things first, obviously, nothing in here is finalized, right? So the entire purpose of this presentation is collaboration, discussion, negotiation, coming to an agreement where all parties are heard and their concerns are addressed. And that obviously includes the county commission. So unfortunately, we don't have any magic pills in here. Nothing is, the end all be all fix everything. But what we do know is that the concepts are completely sound. They are proven through application across the country, in this county every day. And so I just wanted to kind of highlight that obviously as we look through this, everything is, for discussion, collaboration, negotiation. It's not, we're not dictating anything. Next slide. The other important thing here is that the outline that you're seeing is all inclusive to make this work. So from the way we see it, these 4 points, which start with centralized billing, move through an ambulance ownership model, which has been a hot topic, an increase to the ambulance fee. And I know that I'm going to get some arrows, or we're going to get some arrows thrown at us for that, but it's essential. Establishing a fire fee, it's essential. And all of those pieces together are really what will prove an effective combination service. Next slide. So we can skip this one. This is really just an executive summary, high level, kind of walks through what the plan is. It was, the original intent was in case we didn't get to do this, that you all could get a printout of that executive summary so you kind of know what directions, but we're here so we can bypass that slide. All right, so we'll start with centralized billing. So go ahead, Krista. The first point is to retain MCA. The reason for this is that while we certainly understand and appreciate some value that a billing specialist can provide the county, there's no way that a single FTE or full-time equivalency resource is going to match the service that MCA provides this county. We have, these statistics came directly from MCA. All 7 organizations that really even 8, that currently bill for ambulance transports have contracts with MCA. The reason I say it is because JCSA has a contract with them, they're just not currently transporting. We have 11 full-time staff at MCA that are supporting billing for Jefferson County. So that is a combined 180 years of EMS billing experience, averaging 16 years each. They're beyond the team of people that are supporting Jefferson County. MCA also provides all of the demographics verification. So there's times when a provider might not get an insurance face sheet at a hospital. MCA chases that down for us and finds, excuse me, finds those people. Claims processors, obviously, auditing is a huge part. And then a big money piece here are the powerful tools that MCA provides that the county won't be able to replicate without putting out more money. And then the last one, compliance. EMS billing is just, I mean, you have to have compliance at every turn. And this is what that team of 11 provides us. So we really feel to maintain the most efficiency in our system, we have to retain a billing company. We have relationships with MCA. MCA knows our business and such. Next slide. So what do we do with the billing specialist? Well, we have an idea for that. I think if we retain MCA, it reduces risk to us as a county. But if we do have a billing specialist, then we can still utilize that person. And they can take a more collaborative approach with those local. They can go sit at a kitchen table and talk to them about, how we might be able to work out a transport payment for that transport. So just to share quickly, in the interest of time, two Mondays ago, I had about a 30-minute phone call with somebody that we transported in an ambulance. Had fantastic things to say about our combination crew that transported them. That's one paid, one volunteer. But she couldn't pay the bill. And so we were able to work out a 6-month payment plan in that 15, 20-minute phone call that she was comfortable with, that we're comfortable with. And so now we are going to see that revenue. That's kind of the model that we're proposing here, is that softer approach to hard billing, as we put it. So we're still going to increase revenue for the county, for the volunteer organizations, whatever the case might be. But we're also not scaring system users into, can I afford to call 911 if I'm going to be sent to collections? Because the volunteer organizations have taken a pretty hard stance against hard billing. Now, we understand that the county, if you were to take over billing, you have laws that you have to work under. We understand that. But maintaining that relationship with MCA will significantly reduce risk in reduction of revenue in the system. Next slide. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about ambulance layout. Go ahead. Before we do, I want to address some of these assumptions. And so, I work full-time in the IT industry, and one of the things that I do is I write proposals. So I use assumptions all the time. And basically an assumption, just for people not aware, is a statement that you assume to be true for the purpose of planning. So in this case, these 4 statements we assume to be true. So that is how we can then design what the future might look like based off these assumptions. So we assume that all volunteer departments will engage in this plan. We assume the county can provide 6 staffed transport units. We assume that the commission is committed to maintaining that volunteer engagement in the EMS system. And we assume that there might be some cost difference between an ALS staffed versus a BLS staffed unit model that, maybe we can massage to adjust the overhead cost of staffing. So those are 4 main assumptions that we have to keep in mind as we walk through all of these options. Go ahead. So the first one, I'm sorry, I'm not there yet. So this is, this should look familiar to everybody. This is an as-is ambulance placement. Every ambulance in the county currently is demonstrated in this map. Two things to note. One, you'll see a third ambulance there in the Ranson area. It's because Independent currently has a reserve unit. You'll see that Bakerton's is kind of grayed. That's because they had previously made the decision to get out of the transport service. Doesn't mean they're getting out of EMS. They're still going to provide first response and they'll still have certified providers there, but they won't have a transport unit any longer. So we just kind of grade that one out just to see the picture. You can go ahead. Oh, wrong way. That's okay. And then here is the as-is JCSA staffing plan. So again, this should look very familiar. Now those 4 ALS, 4 BLS is your full FTE equivalency. That's obviously not daily, but that is who is stationed at that firehouse. All right, so now we're gonna go into option A. So option A, you can go ahead, is basically our attempt to listen to the commission. And we have heard you all, or at least many of you, maybe not all of you, but many of you suggest that you were very committed to a county-owned ambulance system. So this model is what we would propose if you were going to do that. And that is that we have 6 staffed ambulances in the county with 4 spare ambulances in the county. And you can kind of see the layout that we're proposing there. So a staffed unit in Shepherdstown, Middleway, Independent, Citizens, Blue Ridge Mountain, and Harpers Ferry, which is Friendship. And then spare units at Citizens, Independent, Shepherdstown, and JCSA. Might ask why JCSA building, and that's because there are 3 paramedics that work out of that building, anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a day. So having a unit there adds them to the mix a little bit. And then when we get to these specific assumptions on this model, we'll talk about the placement of the other ambulances. But again, it's just kind of a proposal that we put out for starting a conversation. Go ahead. So if we did this, what would it look like from a revenue perspective? So what we are proposing is a revenue breakdown that looks like this. 50% of the net revenue from that run. So again, for the community's benefit, I know the commissioners know this, but indulge me for a moment. When we transport a patient from point A to a ER, we generate a transport bill as a result of that service that is provided. And that bill is what pays for the fuel, the equipment, the insurance, the intangibles and the tangibles. And so what we're talking about is what we get now, because we might bill, let's just say $1,000, but we don't always get $1,000. So we might only get 400, or if it's Medicare, we might only get 200. So we're talking about that 200, not that 1,000. So 50% of that would go to the owner of the apparatus, which in this model is the county, or I have it listed as JCSA because that's the entity that you all have given this authority to. 40% of the net revenue will be dispersed to the owner of the station that responds to the call. So if an ambulance is stationed out of Independent, 40% of that transport revenue would go to that station. That is to cover, that is in lieu of rent. So that is to cover utilities. And I think we all prorate that at about 40% of our utilities costs are directly related to ambulance. And that won't change, right? Under this model, whether we own them or you own them, we're still going to have that cost associated with housing them. So that's where that 40% comes in. That 10% is what we refer to as first responder response. And the idea there is that we'll continue to pick on Shepherdstown and Independent since we're here. Shepherdstown responds on a call in a Bakerton area, and Bakerton Fire Department responds with first response with an EMT or a first aid CPR personnel, and they start care, they assist the EMS crew. They would be given that 10% to cover their costs associated with responding on that call, because they used fuel, they used workers' comp, they used insurance, et cetera. So that 10% is there. Now, if no first responder agency responds on that call, then that 10% is pooled and held in a reserve fund until the end of the year, which at that point it can be split among all 8 companies in the county. So who knows what that pool would look like at the end of the year? I'm sure we could extrapolate that from our finances. But no idea what it would be, but that's the idea there, is that we're trying to relieve some of the burden of fuel costs and such and supplies from those first responder agencies. Next slide. So what assumptions did we use, to put into place here? So that is that the county commission would purchase 10 ambulances. I think 10 is, we actually took that from Fitch. That's what they recommended in the best of their worst. That's what they recommended. So we can meet on that. The 10 ambulances seems appropriate. Volunteers would remain a part of the system. Spare units, as I referred to earlier, would be housed at the volunteer firehouses, and that is so that we are not doing away with these dedicated, highly trained volunteers that we have in this county. So they can respond on the secondary calls, because that is crucial, and that's one of the biggest points of opposition we've had the whole time, is that any other proposal sets aside those volunteers and we lose that workforce. We can't afford to lose that workforce in the county. So that's why we put spare units in firehouses where they can actually be used versus sitting at Station 11, collecting dust, for lack of a better term. Volunteer corporations will receive a revenue share for any unit housed in their station in lieu of rent. Volunteers will continue to be part of the system. So there will be drivers, providers as needed. And there are many calls where that would be needed. I won't go into all the what ifs, but you all know them. ESA staffing remain dual role and will still function as firefighter technician within volunteer firehouses. This is extremely crucial to this county, that we maintain that core firefighter technician response. So essentially, the only change in this system is who owns the ambulances and who sends a bill. So under this proposal, then the county commission or JCSA would have the title of the ambulances and would send the bill. With that, the county takes 100% of the EMS costs and 100% of the infrastructure costs. And then we've already talked about the spare ambulance at the ESA. Next slide. So what does that look like financially? I tried to put this in the most simple terms possible by using apples. So right now, the county commission pays for staffing, so that's one apple. Under this proposal, the county commission would then take infrastructure costs, which is another apple. Of course, you're going to get some revenue from those transports. So you get basically, your cost is an apple and a half. So the current system is more efficient than that. If you want to look at it from a cost efficiency perspective, this is your least efficient model of the three we're going to propose tonight. Next slide. So now we get into option B. Option B is what we refer to as the partnership proposal. And so under this option, the volunteer corporations have a opportunity to remain in the EMS service. So what we are portraying here is 6 volunteer corporation owned transport units. So this is assuming that all of them, with the exception of Bakerton, who's already made that decision, would retain a volunteer owned unit. So that would be your layout for those volunteer units. Next slide. Let's overlay now the county owned units. So in this case, the county would own 7 units. So 5 that are staffed, or excuse me, 6 that are staffed and 1 spare. And then the volunteer owned units would round out the system. One of the points here is that we still maintain that minimum of 10. So obviously, if all 6 volunteer fire departments that currently have decided to keep transport units, keep them, we're gonna have more than 10. But under this model, we would maintain a minimum of 10. So what that means is if Jefferson decided not to maintain an ambulance, then the county might have to purchase another one to meet 10. So that's what that layout would look like under this proposal. Next slide. So Jefferson County owns 7 ambulances. So they would strategically locate those 7 ambulances through firehouses. They would be the first due EMS. Essentially, the first 5, 6 people to call 911 are getting career staff. It would be a first due career system. The volunteer corporations can respond when needed, and there are calls when they are needed. So, let's say a house fire in Shepherdstown, the career first due unit would go, the volunteer second due unit would go. They would be alerted on second due calls. So again, we're retaining that workforce in the system. And how we do it right now is it's more based off ALS providers, but same concept that the ESA would respond in the next due unit as well to provide that ALS coverage. And then one of the big things that this model does is it provides that community coverage that we've also mentioned is a risk that none of the other proposals can manage the community side of this, which is football games and fairgrounds and community service events that volunteer organizations take transport units to shoot probably at least once a month and through football season every day, it seems. So that's a huge piece of this that we would still be able to maintain. Next slide. So what does this look like? If we went a model like this, what would our transport revenue look like? So we're 40% for the owner of the apparatus. And then we're maintaining that 40% for the station from which the ambulance call, responds. We had to add a lead provider percentage in here. So let's say that Shepherdstown owns the transport unit still, and an ESA provider makes up an ALS crew. Well, we'll cover the time that ESA provider is on that ambulance. So that's what that 10% is to do. And then we still retain that 10% first responder pool of funds as well. So the assumptions we used in this is that volunteers retain ownership if they desire to do so. There very well might be some volunteer organizations that decide, hey, we've had a good run, we've been doing it for 100 years. If we're done, that's okay. Under this plan, they would be able to make that decision that is best for their organization. And that's really one of the powerful points of this is that, excuse me, each of the organizations can make the best decision for themselves. The county commission still ensures a minimum of 10 transport units. So I spoke to that briefly, but if only 2 volunteer organizations retain ambulances, the county would make sure that we don't fall below that 10 threshold. Volunteers respond on calls. We have a revenue share between the county and the volunteer organization still. Again, JCSA staffing remain dual role. They remain in our firehouses. They remain functioning as firefighter technician. So essentially the change in this system is who owns some of the ambulances, not all, and who sends some of the bills, not all. On this, we also would implement a central supply and the county would take the EMS supply costs. The reason for that is because it is becoming, this model still makes it a career EMS system. The volunteer corporations would just be providing backup. And chances are our call volume would not be enough to fully support the infrastructure costs any longer. So the county would have to take that on in this model. Next slide. All right, so what's this look like in Apple Talk? You still have your staffing costs, right? That doesn't change. That's still full Apple. This one, you have a little less infrastructure costs because we're still holding some of that infrastructure. And then you're still gonna have revenue coming in that you don't have now. So we're still about, an apple and a quarter. So again, our current model that we have today in Jefferson County is still more efficient than our partnership owned ambulance proposal. Efficient to the taxpayers' financial liability. And that's an important piece to remember. Go ahead. And finally, we have option C. Now, option C is truly, for lack of a better term, doubling down on a combination system in this county that works, that is not broken, that provides a revenue share, for lack of a better term, between the county and the volunteers. Next slide. Where the county volunteer corporations provide the infrastructure, the county commission through the JCSA provides the staffing. So in this model, the volunteer organizations own 12 ambulances, just as it is today with some variation in Bakerton, and I don't think I included Independence 3rd ambulance there. Sorry, Chief. And we maintain the staffing on 6 transport units by ESA. And those are still highlighted in your red and yellow. And again, for this, I don't think I touched on that, but ALS versus BLS, I mentioned it in the first assumption that, whether there's a BLS unit or an ALS unit, Harpers Ferry, that's one of those things we can discuss. But that's what this would look like. But all of those ambulances on the map are owned by a volunteer corporation. Go ahead. So what would the revenue share look like under this model? So we tried to simplify this into a 40-30-20-10 model. So your apparatus owner gets 40%. That covers the cost of, operating, maintenance, insurance, et cetera, on that unit. 30% would go to the owner of the station. And since we know that, the volunteers own these stations, then that coupled with the 40% covers our costs to house these ambulances still. And 20% goes to the lead provider. The concept with 20% going to the lead provider is, again, we're paying for the, whatever the percentage is, it's different, 70, 80% across the county, but it's different by agency. So Shepherdstown's is something about 60%, mid 60s. So that 60% of the time that lead provider is JCSA, that 20% is going to go to cover that provider's time on the unit during the transport. We recognize that 20% does not cover the time their downtime, as Fitch referred to it, but it does cover the time that they're operating on an ambulance. And then we maintain that 10% first responder pool. So that's a proposal that would work. And the assumptions on this one are that the volunteers would retain ownership of all transport units. This is without a doubt the most cost-effective model for the county commission. It continues the limited infrastructure costs or zero infrastructure costs, as the case might be with the exception of chase cars. JCSA would have to, or excuse me, JCC would have to increase some of the annual funding. The 20% EMS revenue will hurt volunteer corporations. There's no question that we will feel that. We run extremely tight operating budgets, and that 20% is going to hurt. So we have to have a commitment on the other side that we're gonna have some coverage financially. Again, JCSA staffing stays in our firehouses, stays dual role, and operating today as they are. So essentially, the only change in the system under this proposal is revenue share back to the county for lead provider affiliation. And we would implement a central supply to reduce overhead supply costs. Now, a number of years ago, we did all group with an EMS supply provider. So we don't know how much of a reduced cost we'll get because they're already billing us as a county. And that was something we arranged across all the volunteer corporations. But we would think that we'll save some on turnover of supplies. So there should be some cost savings across the board by going to a more centralized supply so that Shepherdstown's not maintaining their own, Independence isn't maintaining their own. We would go to a central. And we currently pay for all the ALS drugs in the county. And so we could model this the same way where, the ESA sends us a quarterly bill and we pay our share of the EMS supplies quarterly. Next slide. So here's your apple for this. So you're paying for staffing. You would now be getting some revenue back, which means that you're paying less of an apple. So our proposed option C is more financially efficient than the current system. So this model actually decreases the taxpayer's financial liability in EMS because we're putting revenue, cash flow back into the county commission coffers rather than just putting them back into our own coffers to maintain the service. So we're going to take the hit here. It is going to hurt us, but it will help, not a lot, but it will help you all with something to the tune of $230,000 a year. Next slide.
All right, so that all had to do with strictly EMS with what we have now, and what we're proposing is the possibility of fire staffing for the future. This obviously the numbers as far as like starting off 2023 could be adjusted, but we just kind of threw these in here to get started. Next slide, please. All right, so right now, as it sits, JCSA has no dedicated fire staffing. So they're primarily EMS, but they can dab in both fire and EMS, as needed and depending on where they're at. But what we're proposing is adding fire staffing over the next several years. Next slide, please. So what we would ask, starting off with this, we just put, 2023. But what we would ask is the JCSA to add staffing, or you all to add staffing where those firehouses currently have 2, you would add an additional 3rd, which would increase to 12 full-time employees. And in the same year, a volunteer organization, so that way we weren't saying specifically this one, we would have to go through all our data, figure out which volunteer between the 7 would submit for a SAFER grant. And that would be in conjunction with the county commission, because at the end of the SAFER grant, once it's completed, then those employees still have to be paid for X amount of years past the time that the SAFER grant ends. Next slide, please. So the following year, in 2024, we're assuming that, we applied for the SAFER grant in 2023. Let's say we get it. That would provide a fully staffed engine to Jefferson County. Where it would go, like I said, that would go based off of data, which, we didn't want to put all those assumptions in here for right now. And we would also ask it to increase the JCSA staffing on 2 additional firehouses, which would add an additional position for two more, which would increase that up to 8 full-time employees on top of the previous year, which was at 12. And then for 2024, another volunteer organization would request or apply for a SAFER grant in conjunction with the county commission. So there would actually be the possibility of 2 SAFER grants. Assuming one got awarded, the second firehouse would then apply for a second SAFER grant. Next slide, please. So 2025 to 2026, we're just assume that, we applied for the second SAFER grant, which would give us 12 full-time employees, which would give us a second fully staffed engine company. In addition to what has already been provided, JCSA staffing, engine, like I said, it would add a second full-time engine company staffing, which would increase it of another, we would ask that JCSA be increased to another 4 full-time employees. That's one way of trying to spread it out over the next several years. So that way there's not just this lump of money all at one time. We would try to spread it out over the next several years. Next slide. So with that, and by 2027, the JCSA would have to take, or the county commission, would have to take the ownership of the first SAFER grant, which is the 12 full-time employees. And then the next slide will have 2028. Then they would have to take ownership of the second SAFER grant. And this obviously can continuously be applied for over the next several years, depending on the departments. But the departments, with the county commission approval, we would apply, a certain department, let's say independent, would apply for it, or the Citizens or Shepherdstown, and they would add that full-time engine company in addition to the EMS companies that are already there. And the great thing about, being JCSA employees, everybody's door. So then you're not only adding just a, full-time 3-man engine plus your 2 for EMS group, you're also adding the possibility of a second ambulance, for full-time. This is also with conjunction of the volunteers supplementing everybody. So right now, as it is, volunteers pretty much supplement the paid staffing on the EMS side, and then we have the JCSA that helps supplement the fire side. This is kind of just tying everything in together and trying to spread the cost over several years instead of having just one lump. Okay, well, we need 12 people. Well, you're going to see 12 people, big number. At least we know with a contract over time, you're going to have to start rolling that in, and it'll be better because, like I said, you can add second ambulance, because everybody's door rolled, second ambulance in Shepherdstown, that's fully staffed and so on and so forth. Next slide. You want to jump on this one?
Yeah.
So, everybody's favorite one.
Yeah, nobody wants to see this one, myself included as a fiscal conservative, but go ahead. So when we first put an ambulance fee in Jefferson County, we had a lot of study that went into it. We had a lot of background information that went into it. You know, Ed Hannon beat the pavement on it. We worked hard to get the education out there on it. And all of that came back to $85 as the base owner occupied figure. Not to give too much of a history lesson, but then it came to the county commission where it was set at 40. And then a new commission came in, lowered it to 35, I believe, or 37, something like that. And then now I think it's at 39. We have to increase it. It is the writings on the wall that that we would love. Well, I won't say we as this. Marshall would love it to be out of the general fund. That's, you know, absolutely. But I think we know that that's not the case. So we are proposing an increase in the ambulance fee back to where it was supposed to be, where all of our paid consultants said it should be, the volunteers agreed, the ESA agreed, all parties agreed that it should be 85 with the exception of the county commission. And by doing that, we can increase the ambulance fee revenue by almost $1 million, which is a lot of boots on the street to help serve this community. Next slide.
All right, next slide. Fire funding, basically the same type of deal with the ambulance fee. Obviously, this could be a fire fee, which you all kind of struck down with us, but also a fire levy, depending on, you know, how that goes, which we are still working on that. It's the exact same concept, but this is pretty much the thing that's going to help offset those costs that are going to be there. You know, like Marshall said, I agree with him. I don't want more money coming out of my pocket, but if that gives me a little bit better service, you know, you get what you pay for. So $39 is unfortunately not giving us enough. We understand that you all don't like raising taxes in general, which I don't want really don't want my taxes raised either, but we, the experts, are telling you all we need this. We need this to help fund what we have. Granted, it's not a, you know, overall coverall that will solve the whole issue, but it will help with the, it'll help us out as the volunteer fire departments. It'll help you all out as far as, you know, the money that you all continue to say, like Jane said, it's not sustainable to keep on funding the way we are. But if you were to add a fire fee or fire levy, then that's going to help us and it's going to help you all out in the future. Next slide.
All right, so to wrap this up into a bow, next slide. We can get to sustainability. And I know that that is our objective, that is this commission's objective. We all are on the same page there. The way we see it is that we can increase billing. You can put a billing specialist in place to sit at someone's kitchen table and increase billing in a kind-hearted way. We can implement a transport revenue share, which some would argue should have been done years ago. I would argue has always been the case with our covering all the infrastructure costs, but we can implement one. We can increase the ambulance fee and we can establish a new levy or fee, but I think we're all leaning towards levy at this point. So that will get us to sustainability. Now, we know that you have this money. Next slide. So we thought about that too. So what are you going to do with this money that you have? Number one is, and these are just suggestions we're throwing out, build upgraded county firehouses. We have at least 2, probably more, that are aging, that might not be in the most efficient spot anymore. You know, so build 1 or 2 firehouses, you know, county-owned firehouses with an MOU with the volunteer organization to run their fire apparatus out of it. You know, that is a good use of this funding. Other departments, I know Shepherdstown, before we got into this conversation, we were anticipating an almost $300,000 renovation to better support our career staff. So we know that there's others, you know, that are in the same boat as us, that recognize that to better support our career staff, we have to upgrade our firehouses. So there's money that needs to be built there. I assure you that the sheriff's department and the municipal police departments are not going to shy away from a training center, and we can build one. We need one in Jefferson County that we can use combined fire, EMS, law enforcement. We can build a training center, and that's good use of this COVID funding. There are essential fire department costs that are coming up. Again, I'll just use Shepherdstown. In the next 5 years, we're gonna have to replace all of our SCBA to the tune of almost $1 million. That is not cheap. Apparatus replacement, our radios are $7,000 a piece, and most of us own probably 60, right? They're not cheap. And then I'm sure you all have heard of much of the low-lying radio issues that we have around the county. So there's infrastructure that we can put in place to fix some of that. And these are just, I could keep coming up with ways to get y'all to spend that money. But these are just some of the ideas that we had to put forward in front of you of how you can better spend that money.
Basically, you all had your all's proposal was pitched. This is our proposal that we came up with, and we are more than happy to continue to sit down working on it. I know we have another meeting next Thursday. So, I mean, we're open.
I guess I have a very easy question you can probably answer first. Can you explain the difference of the ALS and the BLS?
Yeah, ALS is advanced life support, so that's your paramedics. And then BLS is basic life support, so your EMT credential providers. The ambulance, there's no difference between ambulances. All of us run ALS ambulances, so we have all the tools for advanced life support on it. But
It makes a difference on the type of care you get, and then when it comes down to billing, if it's an ALS type call, the billing it usually is more, but you charge more for an ALS type call.
I want to thank you all for putting the options together, and presenting it to us. I guess I have a question because there's a lot of assumptions in here with the percentages. And we have no idea what the billing revenues are to even begin to consider those. What I would like to see a request, I don't know if the other commissioners agree with me, is the MCA billing for 21, the year, calendar year 21, the amount that was billed, the amount that was collected, and the amount that was retained by MCA for their service. And I'd like to see that broken down by each volunteer fire department.
Would you like me to email it to you right now, or?
Yes.
I can give it to you on the record.
Right, yeah. No,
We're
you can
transparent.
email.
I would second that, Tricia, because I did like your Apple analogies, but I would like to
Yes.
see what it is and what the breakdown is.
Yeah, I have that. Commissioner Stolper had asked that we come prepared with that, so we are prepared with it.
Okay. I do have a question too, on the partnership system. I know each fire company is set up completely different with the amount of calls that they respond to, the amount of money they have in the bank, and sustainability that they have. They're all very different. Do you know right now if the ESA takes the first call, ALS calls, and then will the volunteers be able to afford to run a secondary unit? Or which ones will, which ones won't?
It's kind of hard for us to answer for somebody else.
Okay.
Independent, we're working on crunching numbers to be able to tell you whether we're going to be able to sustain owning an ambulance. We have the call volume. I know Shepherdstown citizens and independent pretty much have a call volume, but it is a lot of overhead. It's just a lot of overhead for one ambulance. Independence at almost $500,000 a year on income and expenses. What we bring in pretty much goes right back out, but we are still working on crunching numbers to see whether we can afford, if, like you're talking Model B or Option B, where you all would purchase some and then the fire companies would possibly keep some in their station. I don't have an answer for you right yet on that. I think we're still working on that.
Okay.
I have another question related to MCA. So you said there's 11 full-time staff working right now, but there's 7 different accounts, correct? Because
Yes,
there's 7
Yes.
different stations billing. I guess I'm curious to know what the function is of those 11, and are they dedicated to one station? Do they cross-function between each station? And what do the 11 full-time staff do? Like, what are their responsibilities for billing for 7 stations?
so I can answer some of that. Some of that is that, no, they are not dedicated to any particular station. We all have a point of contact, which I assume is the same. And they are working on other jurisdictions as well, as far as I know. They are grouped by, and I do have documentation that MCA provided for this that I could share with you. They are grouped by specialty. So some of them are specialized in demographic research, some are compliance, some are, across the board. But so not all 11 are processing, but all 11 touch our individual runs at some point in the process.
I guess I'd be curious to see, since there's 7 stations, 7 individual accounts and 11, how many, if we retained MCA, I mean, you're talking about adding JCESA as another account, correct? So that'd be 8 accounts if we consolidated. So in some of these proposals, you're not putting ambulances in every station, so there's not going to be billing from 7. So what's it look like to consolidate, and does that reduce the fee? I'm assuming the fee's tied to how many people are.
So our fee is really good. We renegotiated that fee 5-6 years ago. And I think, from the research I've done across the industry, we're well below average on the fee we pay. But MCA made $103,000 last year off Jefferson County. That's not, that won't really pay for your FTE. But I don't have all the information that you're asking, but I can get it for you for sure.
That would be great. I'm just trying to understand the cost of retaining MCA, and obviously we're a couple accounts will go away and a couple accounts.
Yeah, the issue that we see there, ma'am, is risk management, right? So if we have a single person that can't handle it, we're already going to be underwater on lost revenue before we ever recognize that, we made a mistake here, so it's risk mitigation by saying, we know MCA does a good job for us. We know what our payment record is, and really 103,000 to bill for 7 organizations is not unreasonable.
And another question I had, so for option number 2, we discussed volunteer and county-owned ambulances. In option A, you had said 6 fully staffed JCESA. Was there a number of how many fully staffed JCESA were?
Yeah, it was 6 across the board.
Okay.
We made the assumption that you would staff 6 transport units. Yes, and in option A, it's 4 spares. Option B, it's 1 spare by the county so that you can circulate that one when one goes out for maintenance, but all the rest are volunteer.
Is there anything else from the commissioners? I'd like to thank you guys for coming in, give us the presentation.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Of course. Was there anything else on agenda item number 10 the commission wanted to discuss this evening? Okay. It's the only thing I see left is Nathan. Then. Is there anything we do in open sessions?
Yeah, I would just report to the commission regarding the solar text amendment issue that the planning commission did meet. And the planning commission has accepted the comprehensive plan revisions that you all had sent back to me. And so that issue is closed. And the planning commission met And I've reviewed a solar text amendment draft, and they are putting that out for a public hearing. And so I believe that that public hearing will be set on the 17th. And at that point in time, if the planning commission chooses to move forward, then I believe that there's a county commission meeting set a couple of days after that on the 19th. And so it could potentially be back in front of you on that. And really, that's as far as we can go until we have a public hearing and the planning commission makes further decision. Obviously, I don't know what the planning commission's decision will be, and whether or not they will choose to move forward on the 17th or not. I will likely put a placeholder on the county commission's agenda on the 19th in case the planning commission chooses to move forward on the 17th. But if they don't, then, we will take it up here probably at the next meeting following.
Usually he's the one that's stuff on his agenda, under him.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do that.
Beyond that, I don't think that I have anything else.
You gotta go for B. Under you,
Excuse me?
on executive session for B.
Is, do you have, I didn't do that?
Yeah, for B we do.
Well, in that case, then I would recommend that we go into executive session to consider that.
Yeah, and, I move that we go into executive session, discuss, B under Nathan Cochran, our attorney, to receive legal advice on, and also like to even ask that we go in, I do have some questions for you, concerning, number 10 as well too. And discuss that and, some questions I have about that as well. All right?
Okay.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're in executive session.
What's that?
Can we stay with 10?
I don't know. I mean.
All right, I move we come out of executive session.
I'll second.
Been moved, seconded, and third. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? You're back in regular session.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to bring up and for the record, say that it was really nice seeing different options that were presented to us tonight. I do feel that we do need some more information before we can potentially move forward with a couple of different maybe counters. But I will say I do like many of the plans that were submitted in option A. And once we see the MCA billing and we get that from 2021, I feel we can probably move forward and come back with more solid counter, and we'll come up with a plan with the fire companies that will work for the citizens here in Jefferson County. And I think I know they were offering revenue sharing, and I think more of a lease rate might be more ideal. So I just wanted to share that and just share my opinions with the type of plan we could probably work together on option A.
Yeah, and I guess, Steve, one thing I would say is with the models that they offered, I do agree with their assumption that I think we need volunteers engaged and part of whatever we move forward with. I am interested in seeing the MCA billing numbers that Marshall said he's going to send to us. And that is why I am interested in seeing what the billing is and that revenue breakdown of, they give all the different options of 50, 40, 10 and different things. But I would like to see what the numbers of that come out to, and then also what the numbers of rent would be. So I kind of want to compare those two, or rent or leasing. I want to compare those two.
And I'll ask John, I know the last meeting we instructed our county administrator, John Nissel, to reach out to the fire companies, and he's kind of keeping a tally of different the responses. Do you have anything you want to add for?
At this time.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so in light of that, what you just said, we directed John to reach out to the fire departments and find out who might be interested in selling their current assets, ambulances, and who might be interested in working with the commission on leasing space. I want to make a motion to direct John Nissel to work with Bob Berner to find and engage an appraiser to appraise ambulances in the county for those departments that are interested in selling their ambulances.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I mentioned both Commissioner Stolifer and Add's points. We have no idea, what we're walking into with leasing space, what's fair market to put in stations and that sort of thing. So I'd like to make a second motion to direct John Nissel to find and engage a third-party commercial real estate broker to determine what fair market lease values are right now, whether it's square foot or whatever, so that we've got some baseline to begin working with. And that he looks at space with stations 1, 2, 3, and 4, working with those chiefs to determine, at least start the talks on determining if it's feasible for us to do that.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Is there anything else come for the commission this evening? Hearing none, we are adjourned.